Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
Pizza time.
We've got Chris.
Hey,
Hi. Was that Krang voice?
I am here from Dimension X.
Yes, it was definitely Krang voice. I love it. And I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. We're talking about the Ninja Turtles today. Whoa, very cool. I'm actually really excited to talk about this one here. We are reading the original Ninja Turtles comics from 1984. Back same year I was born. Wow. Am I a Ninja Turtle? I might be.
Well,
but
you're no longer teenage.
I'm not.
Jury's out on Ninja or Turtle.
I have to black belt in Taekwondo from way back in the day.
Oh, really?
So that's
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
I was like 12, so I don't think it counts. But you know,
Wow,
it's
so
a
you
thing.
were a preteen ninja.
Yeah. Well, it's not ninjas, so preteen, Taekwondo, mutant. Yeah, I think mutant might work. Definitely not a turtle, though. More of a lizard.
Yeah, if you watch Miami Connection, they are trained in Taekwondo and mostly just beat up ninjas. So
That's
clearly, Taekwondo is better than ninja.
It makes sense. It makes sense to me. But yeah, this is the original black and white comics from 1984, which we kind of alluded to this on the last time. The Turtles had a quick rise in popularity. When did the cartoon start?
1987.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so the timeline is indie comic made by two dudes on their couch, first published March 1984, cartoon December 87. So 3.5 year turnaround from nothing to a cartoon, and then the movie was like March or April 1990. So 6-year turnaround to feature film.
Wow.
Like, it's a really quick, because I remember talking about like, wow, Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man Noir got really quick into movies, and Miles Morales and Spider-Verse. And I was like, they're very young comic book characters, but the TMNT was very quick. And I have a feeling that this was just happening, and I'm not sure if TMNT and Ninja Turtles started this or if it was just happening, because like we read The Tick a long time ago, and The Tick similarly started as like a black and white indie comic and was a cartoon within like 5 or 6 years. So I don't know if there were just like a lot of like publication companies just trying to scoop up, any black and white indie comic and then just throwing a bunch at the wall and seeing what stuck. I'm not sure.
I think it was because of this.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the reason the Tick and Sam and Max and all these other indie books where there was not that much material. They're like, well, hell, this worked once.
Yeah, it's probably cheap. It's easy to get the rights to it. Let's just make it. What's especially interesting is that so we're reading the first collection. They've re-released these in like black and white versions. IDW I think is publishing it now. I don't know. It was just indie, like self-published. I think way back in the day. Or did they have a publisher? I don't remember.
They were originally Mirage Publishing, and the name was Mirage because their studio didn't actually exist.
That's cute.
And they said like they used their tax refund borrowed $1,000 to print off like 3,000 copies and sell it.
Wow.
And I'm like, what's your distribution model? It seems like they sold them in conventions, like in New England area, which I don't know. I feel like the convention scene is much different now than it was in the 80s, and Chris can probably attest to this, where people like legitimately went and sold comics to people. Like, I don't know how you would get the word out to be like, hey, come buy my Ninja Turtles comic, other than people just like walking around a convention like, I guess this looks cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh. I feel like that's maybe the board game market these days for a lot of indie board games and like self-published stuff. It's very similar, I'm thinking, to that. But I don't know.
Sense. Yeah, but these were like magazine size. They're not normal comic book size, and they were black and white. They ended up being like having like I think 2 color covers for like the first 5 or 6 issues.
And like this timeline that we're talking about here, this first collection is issues 1 through 7. Like within this, it says that the first printing on number 1 was May of '84, and then number 7 was May of '96. So there's like a 2-year gap.
86,
in, like,
86, not 96, but yeah, it's like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's like May
86.
Yeah, May 84, and then issue 2 is like October 84. Like they just made it as like a one shot, and then there's like a span where they like March 85, April 85, June 85. They come out with 3 issues real quickly, and then there's like a big lag of October 85, Feb 86, and then May 86.
Yeah, you definitely get the sense that they probably spent like 6 months just, it's like a band that has like half a dozen songs and just is like, well, we got to start touring right now. We have enough to tour.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we have 3 issues in the can. We can sell this to people right now. And obviously, it was a hit. I mean, we have all heard of this thing that these two dudes made up on their couch.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And yeah, they finished this first 7-issue arc, and then the next year they have a TV show. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and basically it looks like the timeline. I bought the IDW Ultimate Collection, which collects all this, Volume 1, and then the next collection is issues 8 through 11, and then one shots for each of the Turtles, except for Raphael, which we may or may not talk about today. And then they stopped working on Ninja Turtles together. They didn't make another Ninja Turtles comic together, Eastman and Laird, until like 96, issue 50. So they put it off to other writers and other art teams after issue 11. This was like their plan. They were like, we got to make a franchise, and then we got to start making money and let everyone else do the work. I don't know if it was their plan or if it just ended up being that their day job ended up being more about licensing.
Yeah, and they were immediately shepherding a cartoon, and then a video game, and then a
toy line
movie.
Yeah.
So there's obviously we grew up with this stuff. There's lots to love about the idea of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Every word in there appeals to you when you're a kid. And
but have you ever read this though?
I'd never read this. Had y'all?
I remember buying the first issue or getting it like on a free comic book day and thinking, oh, this is very similar to episode 1 of Ninja Turtles 2003 cartoon. Which it kind of starts in the same way that one did. Like, this is me. I bet you wondering how I got here. But that's the extent of what I've read. And it's weird because it's very similar to like the Ninja Turtles origin and then like wildly different than the cartoons and the movies.
Yeah. So we'll definitely talk about a lot of those differences as we're going in, but I think we're ready to just kind of jump into it, yeah? We start this first issue with the Turtles' first outing. It's from Leonardo's point of view. They're taking down some members of this local gang, the Purple Something Gang. And, they have a good, nice outing. Head back down to the sewers, and we meet Splinter, and they're like, hey, first mission, cool, great. And, hey, y'all are 13 years old now. Time to learn what you've been trained for. Or no, they've been training for 13 years. They're not 13 years old. I think they're like 13 to 15 years old is sort of the timeline that we're getting.
I get that. Yeah, they're somewhere in there. I almost felt like they were as old as 19 because they seem very old for their days. Because, I mean, Raphael's like, let's get some beer. But they could also be 13-year-olds being like, let's get some beer. So
yeah, exactly. That sounds like Raphael.
And they're also turtles, so we don't know at the rate they age. I mean, I know tortoises can live to be 100, but I don't know if turtles have the same life expectancy. 19 for them or 13 for them could be like 25 for a human. I don't know.
I also bet Raphael has never had beer. He's just heard of it, and that he wants some. That's my guess.
Yeah. But I love like little things like the world is already pretty well developed here that they're like we go through the sewers because it like ninjas it allows us to get anywhere in the town really quickly by traveling through the sewers, and I'm like, that's an interesting like functional way that they live. I hadn't really thought of the Ninja Turtles like sewer from that perspective, that they can like bolt really quickly.
Yeah, but I guess the first question I would have is, wouldn't they smell like shit? Wouldn't people? How do you sneak up on people smelling like shit?
Well, turtles have slimy skin that repels the shit smell, I think, is what it's part of their mutant traits, I'm going to say.
Okay, sure.
I could be wrong about that, but I'm going to say maybe. Solid.
Yeah, I'll give you a no prize for that.
Thank you.
They're probably like, what the fuck is that smell? And then they turn it and then they're out. So it doesn't...
They're out, exactly. So we get Splinter, who gives him the origin story that he was a rat owned by his master, Kamato Yoshi, who was a member of the Foot Clan. All right, he's got this rival named Oroku Nagi, loved his girl, goes after her. She rejects him, so he's like attacking this girl, and Kamato Yoshi comes home and is like, no, and kills this guy. And instantly, I'm like, wait, okay, is that how this went in the cartoons? I don't remember.
Because I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Oroku Saki is what my mindset when I'm reading this. I'm like, it was that he attacked his girl, and then Splinter, as his rat, scratched the dude's face, and that's why he wears a mask as the Shredder. That's how the movie's origin was. The TV was somehow the human got turned into a rat.
Right, I remember that. Yes, yeah.
So it's a little different. It's not a rat mutating; it's a human being merged with like rat DNA, which is also like how Bebop and Rocksteady, who aren't in this, they were humans turned into animals. So it's a little different in the cartoon. But I was like, Oroku Saki. It's not Oroku Nagi. Why is this name changed? It seems really like arbitrary.
So
at this point.
Yeah, so the human who kills this Orokunagi, he flees to New York. He's like, he killed a member of his own clan. They're going to fuck him up if they find out. So he says, I got to get out of here. He goes to New York with the rat, with this girl. They're living there. While meanwhile, back in Japan, Orokunagi's son, Orokusaki.
Brother.
Oh, little brother? I'm sorry. I saw a smile child, and I assumed it was the son.
But it's Orokusaki.
Yeah.
So this lines up now. Okay.
Yeah. and he's actually got a legitimate gripe. It's like, okay, Yoshi killed his family member. Easy. He's not a bad guy. He's just going to get revenge.
But this is like a real cycle of perpetuation, because it's like, okay, well, you killed my brother, so then I've got to murder you. And then because Orokusaki murdered their family member, now the turtles need to seek revenge on this. It's just like the sons are always trying to murder their dad's killer.
Yeah, it's a real Romeo and Juliet situation.
But I also like that Orokusaki did work his way up the Foot Clan, and they sent him to New York to open a new branch, which is the word that they use, which I think is a little strange for a assassin clan. Hey, we're opening a new branch in New York. Do you want to go head that up for us?
Look, you've been to America. How would you like to head the Foot Clan of America? Like Nintendo of America.
Yeah, it's very similar timeline too. They were very successful.
It is.
In '84, exactly. They're like, they're very prescient. Eastman and Laird were.
The Foot Clan is like, let's buy the Mariners.
Yeah, they're smart. There is a lot of industrialization in this book of just we're kind of in from out of nowhere, but we're going to build ourselves up and pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we're going to make something of ourselves.
That's
here.
Very similar later in the story too, to a different group. That's super interesting. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention. I think we might have mentioned it when we said we were going to do this. When Splinter is telling the origin story, it is literally the Daredevil origin story. Daredevil is there. He pushes a blind man. He gets hit in the head by the toxic waste. And then the toxic waste falls into the sewer where it gets on the turtles. It's the exact same waste that makes Daredevil have his powers.
Yeah, so Splinter as a rat sees all this, goes down into the sewers and gathers them up. I love that image of Splinter gathering up these 4 little baby turtles, and we see them start to grow up. I love this. This is my favorite image in the whole thing. My panel of the week is just these little baby turtles without their masks on.
4 baby turtles.
It's adorable, I think.
Yeah, and the little 6-month-old Leonardo or whatever being like, Splinter as a little baby.
It is amazing how this is pretty much verbatim from the movie.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm so used to things getting changed. Up until this point, it's different. Obviously, it's the movies and the cartoon I'm more familiar with is straight from the source material. But this first issue so far is pretty consistent with the Ninja Turtles origin that I know.
The biggest thing. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say until we get to the end of this issue, where there's a pretty big difference.
Well, also in general, the whole thing just feels a lot more violent than I remember. Because Splinter says. Yeah, Splinter says, listen, Turtles, I need y'all to murder Shredder. This is the plan here. This is why I've been training y'all for murder. And the Turtles have no problem with killing just random soldiers, random members of the Foot Clan. It happens pretty commonly. It's very violent.
Yeah, Leonardo is dicing dudes up. Even those gangs, he's like, the cops are going to find what's left of them. It's like, good Lord, what?
Yeah. We do get our first individual action here. Raphael goes to deliver a message to Splinter. To Shredder. Shredder is trying to sell their defense services to some people while he throws the Psy in the window with the message on it. And they're like, what? You can't protect us like this. It's a fun little moment. Also gives Shredder a reason to be mad at them. You're messing with my business. I'm trying to set up a legitimate operation here in New York. Also, you just threw his Psy away. Now you gave them a weapon. Where are they getting these Psys at? I don't know. Psy store, I guess. Yeah. How do you? Yeah. They all fight. It's a nice big fight where they challenge Shredder. Shredder says okay. The art throughout all this isn't necessarily the cleanest as far as a fight scene goes, but it did tell the story really well. You can just kind of follow the action pretty easily.
I feel the models are really weird and kind of wobbly.
They are. They're not very super consistent.
They're not consistent. I have a hard time telling the turtles apart, especially because it's all black and white. And even in this run, they don't have their colors. Like they're,
Yeah,
orange.
like even when you start seeing the colors on the covers, they're all wearing red masks. Yeah. So you can't really tell who's who.
But
other than weapons.
Yeah. Other than weapons, and they feel like bad animation in the way that like their arms are all just kind of like pasted together. It doesn't feel right. What's weird about them is that Eastman and Laird both wrote and both drew this comic. There's not like a defined artist. Like they would draw panels together. It's fucking weird. I'm not used to it with comics at all. The idea of like two artists working together. I guess maybe like some brothers. I'm thinking of like Fabio Moon and his brother. I can't remember his last name's not also Moon. They did like Day Tripper where they would do the art together. But it's very weird to see like writers and art. So you can't tell like, oh, this looks like a Laird panel versus a Eastman panel. I'm not really sure what looks like what.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I mean, obviously they turned this into a successful, marketing empire, but to me this definitely feels like it was written by artists, like the fight scenes are the focus of this first issue for sure. Like there's fun flashbacks and stuff, but like the last half of the book is a fight scene. Absolutely.
What's most interesting to me about this entire issue is that our pizza count is at 0.
No, I heard there was one. There
was?
Turtle said pizza.
Oh, okay. We said pizza. All right, but did we see a pizza?
No.
I'm gonna rule that pizza count 0. That's what I think.
That would have been a really good contest for us when we
an over under.
Yeah.
Let's start now. I'm gonna say over under pizza. Turtles love pizza. Probably 30.
I'm gonna say 0 pizzas. I don't remember a damn pizza in this whole thing.
Chris, you got a theory? I don't remember one either. For real.
I was gonna say 0.5.
It's a little too late for an over under, but I think Chris might take it. All right. So yeah. This whole thing ends with them completely beating Shredder, throwing him off the roof. They don't find a body, so it's like, okay, of course Shredder's gonna come back, but you don't exactly set up the biggest villain by having him defeated in the first issue pretty cleanly.
Yep.
Shredder is like actually like a legitimate threat. He's capable in both like in and out of costume. The reason why he wears a mask, nobody knows. Not established in this book. His face is not slashed. But I like it.
But this is also the Turtles' second time going out in public and fighting. Like, yeah, you're not setting up this dude for success.
No, I don't know how much they talk in their interviews about how this was intended to be like a one shot, like something they probably just like.
That's true.
Like I feel like Eastman and Laird were just making indie comics. They said they made something else, like 1 or 2 issues of this thing called Gobbledygook. I couldn't find much information about it before they did this. So they had made stuff before, but whatever. I don't think that they intended for this to like take off and become like a 30-year, 35-year kind of enterprise. With like 6 movies and multiple cartoon reboots. Like I don't think that was ever the intent. It's like let's just tell a ninja story. Shredder's gonna die at the end of this, and we'll go.
Yeah, and it's very clearly obviously Daredevil has a cameo in it, but Frank Miller's Daredevil is so like present, and also the Wolverine miniseries where he goes to Japan. And then gets in the middle of like an honor feud. Like it's all like very much referencing Frank Miller's stuff. Like you can tell that that's their reference, especially when April O'Neil shows up and looks a lot like a certain character you might know from Daredevil.
Let's go right into the second issue where I didn't think this was April O'Neil at first. I didn't know what was going on, but we get the Mousers, Baxter Stockman, and April O'Neil, who were involved with the Mousers. Didn't realize it.
Yeah,
Baxter Stockman looking like a season 1 Smithers.
So I don't remember if Baxter Stockman. I think he was white in the cartoon that I'm from.
He was white in the cartoon, and April O'Neil was also definitely white in the cartoon. A lot of whitewashing going on in the cartoon back then.
So super interesting. In the new Ninja Turtles cartoon, April O'Neil is black. The one that's running right now. I was like, oh, that's surprising, but that's cool. And then Baxter Stockman in the most recent live-action movie was played by Tyler Perry. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's good casting.
That is good casting.
That is good. I always loved Baxter Stockman in the cartoons as a character because we saw him change. And that was like, especially early on for us, like it was the right time in our lives when it's like, whoa, cartoons can have like permanent changes to characters that keep going. Like that was I think, huge for me. That might have been the first time I ever saw that.
I don't remember him being much of a human on the cartoon. But was he? Was he a human for a while?
I feel like he was. Now I want to double check this, but I remember him being a human for a while.
Yeah, he was at least for a couple of appearances as a human, and because he was, I mean, like they kind of had like a rose gallery that kind of talked to each other, which was cool in the cartoon. And then he got transformed into a flyman.
Mm-hmm, he's the first boss of Turtles in Time. I remember that. And he's in the 2003 cartoon. This is again very similar to the 2003 cartoon. I watched maybe the first season of that show, and that's very similar. Like Baxter Stockman creates the Mousers. He's the scientist, and April works for him. She's not a news reporter.
She's not a news reporter at all, which confused me. I didn't realize this.
Yeah, it was also confusing because there is a news reporter that's like, and they call them Mousers, and I was like, is that April? And then it's like, and this is her assistant or his assistant, April O'Neil, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. But yeah, these Mousers are violent. They just go chop up, eat these rats, store them in the belly until they go.
Yeah, New York's rat problem.
Hey, it's fair. It's fair.
And they can eat 5 rats and then they come back home, and I don't know what they do with the rat bodies.
They got to empty them. They're not just going to dump them in the street,
Yeah, get sanitized and stuff. It's so weird.
Yeah. But yeah, Splinter is very troubled. He's like, oh, y'all, I got to go think about this for a little while. Then we get some reports of a bunch of bank robberies, which little tiny holes. April, she might be a journalist because she makes some good logical leaps here to say that it seems like Mouser-sized holes. Baxter, I'm a little worried that somebody's gotten control of your Mousers and they're using them to rob banks. And Baxter's like, April, don't worry. Nobody's gotten control of my Mousers. Everything's fine. And we learned that he's been behind the robberies the whole time.
Yeah, great. Immediately takes her to his secret lair full of Mousers, and she's like, how do you have 100 of these? They cost $1 million each or whatever. They cost, $10,000 each. So they had a budget for 10, and he has an army of them, and he's like, yeah, I've been robbing those stores. But it wasn't an accident. I'm doing it on purpose because I hate this city and want to hold it for ransom for money.
Why would you reveal yourself right after she basically said bank robberies are bad and wrong and we got to figure this out? Don't say, actually, it was me. Do you want to be in on this? Maybe that was never really his intention. He just kind of captures her and says, you're done.
Yeah, it is a weird pitch because, she's like, I have to go now. And he's like, oh, she's probably on her way to betray me. And it's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have told her.
Yeah, idiot.
Yeah, because at that point she was fully on board. She was like, Baxter couldn't do it. I love him. Clearly something else is wrong with our company. I was just thinking, he's depicted almost like Gus Fring from Breaking Bad also.
Yeah, he'd be a good Baxter Stockman.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito would be a really good Baxter Stockman.
Yeah. And Walter White as Casey Jones.
And again, I think it's fine. This is not a complaint, but I think it's funny that he seems to have no motivation at all. He's just like, I could make millions of dollars with my technology, but I don't want to.
Yeah, he's gone a little nuts. So he does have a very evil scientist-y laugh. I'm like, I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's a bit of a caricature.
I don't know if we've gotten to the part where he threatens to blow up the World Trade Center.
We have not. We're about to, though. Yeah, he gets on TV, which I always love it when a villain can get their message on television somehow.
Yeah.
But he manages to do it.
I just love the idea of them, having those old dating ad, tapes that you, tape for yourself, and then having to go to the TV studio and being like, could you play this, please? I'm an evil genius. Threatening the city. Can you? But they always have to, hack into the signal. It's never...
But he says, I'm going to destroy every building. I'm going to, his Mousers are going to eat away at the foundation and make them fall. And as an example, he destroys the Retzab building on TV, which it took me a second, but I was like, okay, the Baxter building. I get it. A Fantastic Four joke.
Oh, well, it's also the reverse of Baxter.
Well, exactly.
From Baxter Stockman. But yeah,
why did you do both? Why, I get, so in my head, they say, hey, let's do a reference to the Baxter building. I know, we'll name this character Baxter Stockman. But then don't also do a reverse of the Baxter building. It just confuses things a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't get that at first. And then I had to read the supplemental summary, and I was like, oh, that's what that was a reference to. I didn't get that at all.
I didn't either. I just thought that it was reverse of Baxter because I was like, Rexstab's not a real word. But I mean, it's such a dumb name. It's like Baxter Stockman. Like they didn't really think this name through.
That is true. I feel like that's a good name though, Stockman. I don't know. It felt nice to me growing up. Maybe I've just lived with it for so long.
I played an RPG called like Radiant Historia, where the lead character was just Stock. Was his name? He's your stock character.
I mean, what's his name from Quantum Leap was Dean Stockwell. Yeah. So close enough.
That's a real person, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He has a real name that sounds made up like that.
Yeah, he stocks well. All right. So he threatens to destroy every building from the corporations if he doesn't get $20 million. Cool. Again, lots of fighting. I don't remember exactly. The fighting always just ended up kind of like muddied and like not muddied, but it just sometimes lasted a little too long. If this had been like, the only issue I was reading and it was like I'm a 7-year-old kid sitting there with this, I would be crawling all over every like panel, be like, oh, cool. But nowadays,
these are like 40-page books also.
Yeah.
They're huge.
The fights do drag a little bit, so I definitely ran my way through them. Yeah. But what happened to Baxter at the end of this? I don't really remember seeing exactly where he ended up.
He starts a self-destruct sequence, and then they knock him unconscious and then leave. But they do stop the explosion, don't they? So it seems like they're going to arrest. The cops will get him.
Yeah. The turtles rescue April O'Neil, who does like a shot that I feel like I remember seeing in the cartoons and the movies, where she's like, "Turtles faint," and I think that's been in every depiction so far.
Yeah. She is wearing her TV show jumpsuit, which makes more sense that she's like a scientist.
Yeah, than a reporter. Yeah.
Yeah, than a reporter who wears a yellow jumpsuit all the time.
The end of this issue is also a little strange because they're just like fighting a bunch of mousers, and then things go black for a little while, and then lights are up, and Leonardo says, "I guess it worked," and which was the strangest ending to a comic book that I've read in a while. Yeah,
that was definitely, again, the John Byrne school of like, oh, wouldn't it be convenient if I fought a villain that made everything black for a page or two? It's just like when you're the artist and you're definitely thinking of like, what's going to save me the most work?
So it was very strange. Then when I got to the next issue in the beginning, I had a lot of thoughts about like their pacing and just general storytelling structure, because the beginning of the next issue is they go back to the lair, it's in shambles, there's no Splinter there, what happened to him? And I remember thinking, well, this would have been a pretty perfect cliffhanger for the end of issue 2.
You'd think, yes.
Yeah. And then, but it does have a more like self-contained cartoon episode style, where I don't think you would necessarily do that unless it was directly going to be like a to be continued episode. It's more of like a, hey, we've been out on an adventure, we're coming home, where's Splinter? That's the plot of this episode. Cool.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think that they were thinking that publishing wise, like, because I'm looking at their notes here, because I'm reading the collected edition, which has like annotations and different like interviews with Eastman and Laird, and it looks like the first 3,000 issues they published for printing 1 of issue 1 came in, then 6,000 more, they printed off 6,000 more copies for second printing, and those sold out like immediately, and the distributors were like, hey, can we have some more? And then that's why they made issue 2. But you can tell that there's also a 6-month lag in between issue 2 and 3, between October 84 and March 85. So I don't think there was any intent, but then the next 3 issues come out monthly.
Yeah, because you could tell in issue 3, like it ends with a cliffhanger where you're like, well, this is going somewhere.
Right.
Yep. Oh my god, and I'm such an idiot, everybody. I keep forgetting to mention at the beginning of the show what we're talking about at the end of the show. I even said before we started, like, I'm going to make a note to make sure I don't forget to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm going to make a note because I always do it after the first issue we do. That's when I remind myself. Joke's on you. You went 2 issues.
I went 2 issues. Gee. But no, okay. At the end of this episode, we're talking about Marvel versus DC Part 3. That's our long read. We'll get to that. Vince, edit this into the beginning of the episode. I don't know. No, it's stuck here. All right.
Yeah. Issue 3 is a weird one, and again, you can tell their approach to storytelling has changed, because a lot of it is filler. Like, there is a 15-page car chase.
Ooh. Yeah. Where I'm like, what is happening here? All right. Also, like, they do have a very one-track mind in terms of their storytelling. They don't jump around a lot, and I think this issue really would have benefited from that a little bit. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about everything first. So, they say the lair's in shambles. We got to get out of here. They go to I don't remember why they had to get out of there, but they get in a van
because the Mousers wrecked it and Splinter's missing, and they just don't feel safe in the sewers anymore. Which
right
is consistent with the movies. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and they think the police are going to be investigating the sewers because of the Mousers are down there.
Yeah. So they say, yeah, let's get out of here. They get involved in a police chase, but luckily there's an identical van on the highway, a Volkswagen, with some actual criminals in it.
Not even on the highway, in Central Park.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yeah. It's a little bizarre, but
it's a long car chase. I'm like, they were like, I've never seen a car chase in comics, so I'm gonna make a big long car chase. I'm like, and the fact they have 40 pages, they can like do longer action sequences, but I'm still like, I don't flip. And I also don't really give a shit about like cars flying and stuff. I don't really care about like car drawings, so that's on me. Right. But I don't care. But it looks like the turtle van at this point.
It's just it does look like the turtle van. Yeah. They go to April O'Neil's home, which is like a big apartment building, but her apartment is the only one that's actually occupied because she inherited it from her family. Very convenient.
Yeah, convenient.
And then we get an epilogue, which really is like the back half of this issue. This is the part where I feel like, why didn't you just kind of... It feels more like a prologue, actually. Like, just mix this in throughout this whole thing so it doesn't feel so... like long scenes that you really want to flip through super quick. I mean, overall, I still really like all of this. It's just like it felt
interesting
strange
to me, though. We're getting my thesis, but so far, like, I have not been given much characterization of the turtles, especially the individual turtles. Like, I don't know really the difference. They haven't really established who's who very well yet.
Yeah, we know Leonardo's the leader.
Yeah, Leonardo leader. Raphael goes off on his own twice so far, so he's the one that doesn't listen to orders. And Leonardo does tell him, like, don't run away like that, because he goes to look for Shredder or for Splinter on his own. And then he's like, oh, I couldn't find him. And it's like literally one page. And then Leonardo's like, don't do that anymore. It's like, that's going to be his defining character forever.
We do get a little bit of Donatello having the smarts when April, I guess, has also picked up on this and says, we got to make a virus for the Mousers. And Donatello's like, that would take me days.
Yeah, that's true. They do have a exchanging jargon conversation between April and Donatello that shows you he's the smart one.
Yeah. But yeah, Michelangelo definitely haven't seen as much of.
He's eaten 0 pizzas, for one thing.
0? Still, pizza count 0. We see what happened to Splinter throughout all this time. He, fights a bunch of the Mousers, manages to escape, but he's all bloody, and he gets found by these other henchmen who are kind of talking like robots. They're very like, a static kind of.
Yeah, because my original notes were like, man, this is some really clunky writing. Like, nobody calls their boyfriend or girlfriend mate.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, what's happening? Yeah, it's very unusual.
And I see that like TCRI logo, which I remember from Ninja Turtles 2 the movie was TGRI, which was like the company who made the Ooze, which I don't remember if the canister or not was shown with TCRI logo. And I know it wasn't in like the original cartoon. They really never care about that.
They never did. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe these are more henchmen like Baxter. At this point, things are different enough that I don't know where we're going. And so I say maybe Baxter has also developed like human-sized robots that are working for him. That's what
I wasn't sure if he was affiliated with TCRI at this point, but I was like, this is the Ooze company. I knew that.
Right. They're like, whoa, this rat is talking to us. Let's not kill him. Let's take him back and study him. And they're studying him. Splinter like kind of wakes up out of this bed, and he says, all right, well, I'm healed now. I'm going to get out of here. And he goes, and I was wrong. They're not like they are robots, but it's aliens. It's a bunch of little Krangs, and they're all sitting in the break room drinking coffee, and it's the perfect reveal. I was so excited and happy. I was giggling just like that.
Great end page, like even like one. I don't know how it would have read to me like at 85. I've been like, what the fuck? We have gone off the reservation. But even me knowing Ninja Turtles, like cartoon and video games and movies pretty well, like, I still wasn't ready for this.
Well, here's because I knew it was like. The cartoons like made it more kidified, and maybe they put in more aliens and stuff, and I thought this was going to be more street level, more ninjas, more action, and I was very pleased to know that the weird starts coming in early, and I was like, all right. So I was ready.
Because I remember watching the Ninja Turtles 2003 cartoon, and there's at one point where they decapitate Shredder, and I was like, holy shit. And then it's revealed like later that Shredder is just a robot with a Krang in his stomach. And I was like, that's interesting.
That's perfect.
It was a really cool visual image.
That's
there's
cool.
there's so many different facets to like the turtle lore that you can really take it in a lot of different directions depending on like what kind of story you want to tell these days. Which is, I've seen like a version of Baxter Stockman that like he turns himself into a mouser. Did they
No, I
do
don't
that in
know
one of the
about that.
cartoons?
Maybe.
I feel like I saw something about that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very adaptable because they look crazy, like we are all used to the way the turtles look, but like their designs, like they have like little turtle beaks is the only thing that's different, and we mentioned the color schemes, but other than that, they're like 4.5 foot tall turtle men. And so you can put them in any kind of like, you can put them in a ninja story or you can put them in a sci-fi story, and it like they're still turtle
They're
men.
very flexible. They're very flexible. Or you could time travel them back to feudal Japan.
You can do anything you want,
but only if they match the weight of the samurai who they replace in the past.
Oh man, what a weird. Yeah. All right. So the next issue in this collection is a Raphael one shot. There's not too much that goes on here. He meets Casey Jones. It's kind of a fight issue. Is there anything we really want to say about this, or probably skip past it?
It gives an opportunity for like Raphael to be independently developed. There's one shots we didn't cover because they're published later of Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello, which is cool. They call them micro series because they were just being like ironic about like trade paperbacks and like mini series. Like we're gonna call it a micro series. It's just a one shot. I don't think it really like ties much into the lore because Casey Jones doesn't ever come back into what we're talking about here. But,
he probably comes back later, but nothing really to talk about here.
It shows Raphael is not as much of a vigilante as Casey Jones, so it at least gives him like that kind of development.
Yeah, Casey Jones gets to be the Punisher to his Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. That's good. I was kind of thinking, who does Casey Jones remind me of?
Yeah, because he has the skull hockey mask. Yeah. There we go.
Perfect.
Played by Chris Evans, Captain America, in the 2007 movie.
Oh, really?
What? Really?
Yeah.
Played by Elias Koteas in the original movie. He was great.
I love him.
Cool. So on to issue number 4. It's been a week since Splinter disappeared. The turtles are out and about. They fight the Foot. Then they see this big TCRI building, and they're like, "Wait a minute, that's the company that made the mutagen. How did they know?"
Well, because
I guess they kept
had the
it.
canister.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
I think is what it was. But it's also funny because they're like, we've never heard of this company, and this building just popped up, and I'm like, that's impossible. This giant building in Brooklyn with this huge TCRI logo. Like, I can understand.
Remember, they haven't been in public very often, so
That's
maybe
true. They are teenagers.
They just
they're
haven't
dumb.
seen.
And it's funny to me because like I forget that this is in a pre-internet world because I think they can't just go look it up on their computer or the internet.
Right,
what is TCRI? Right. Like they have to jump through some hoops to figure out what the company is.
They literally have to go home to April O'Neil's house and then look up the Yellow Page ad and be like, "Hey, they're not in the books." It's just like,
they're also too banged up. I like this moment when they're like, "We should go explore," and they're like, let's go rest. We'll come back tomorrow night. This makes sense." Yeah. I don't know how well it works as a storytelling device, but it does make sense to me, and I appreciated that.
And it is the most characterization we've had from Michelangelo in that he is the worst fighter, and he's the one that gets beaten up by the ninjas.
Doesn't he have like a broken arm or some injury that he can't? Like he mentions it later in the next fight. It was like,
his arm is all cut up. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that they're consistent in that way. Like the Eastman and Laird cared about like little details that way and like perpetuated them through the issue in a way that like Cartoon Logic just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yep. They go home. April's got a new perm. Looking good, April. They go back to TCRI the next day. They do a bunch of investigating. Lots of weird alien languages. They find Splinter in one of those big chemical tube things. Like they're experimenting on him. They're like, "No, Splinter!" And then the Robo Crangs attack, and then everything goes crazy. And then this portal gets activated, and the turtles disappear in a flash of light. What?
They go through the Stargate.
What? Amazing.
Or time travel to feudal Japan.
Again, I was excited for any possibility. I was on board with more and more weird. I did not know teleportation to. I thought maybe Dimension X is where they were going to be headed. That's not what we get. Yeah, we get.
I wish that's what we'd have gotten.
Yeah. Still pizza count 0. But on to issue number 5 here. They're all of a sudden in these streets with a friendly robot fighting a bunch of armed soldiers, and they're like, "What? Where are we?" We learn.
I had this toy though. This robot they did. I have this toy. It's in my parents' house. My son plays with it when he goes to visit. their house. And I was like, what the fuck is this toy? Because it doesn't look like normal Ninja Turtles design, but there is a toy of it. It's like,
I don't remember this character at all. Was he in the cartoons? Or?
He wasn't in the original cartoon, but he was in either the 2003 or the 2012 cartoon. He has been in the cartoon.
There's a toy for him for the 2012 series, just based on like the way their logo was. But I have.
We should say his name. His name is Honeycutt. He is a robot named Honeycutt.
But
Dr.
also,
Honeycutt.
but also
Dr.
Fugitoid.
Yes.
I had the toy though because I think they just made toys that were characters that weren't in the movies. It's weird, or weren't in the cartoon. It's weird. But Fugitoid also was another character that they had been wanting to do outside of Ninja Turtles, and then they just like kind of squeaked him in here.
Yeah,
and so it feels like we're in a different alien world with this robot who's actually a human who switched brains with this robot, and he's a fugitive
pilot.
Yeah, it is definitely a backdoor pilot. And I looked, there was some link because I was like, who is Honeycutt? So I looked at his, TMNT Wikia page, and it said that he was actually created by Eastman and Laird, him and the, what do you call them? The dinosaur guys.
The Triceratons.
The Triceratons were both created in at least 1983 because he had like a T-shirt design he had with a Triceratons on it.
Okay, all right. We got to come back to this. We need to give some context right now because everyone's like, what? Honeycutt? Triceratons? What is happening here? Because I was
self-explanatory, Kia.
I was definitely lost coming into this. I was like, wait a minute. What happened here? So we are on the planet Dahunib. I kept trying to figure out if this was an anagram for something. In the Sideyom system, Federation territory. He used to be a scientist. His mind got switched into this robot. He was working for General Blank, which is a great name for a general when you can't think of one. But it's Blank with a QUE at the end. Mm-hmm. His general's looking for him. So are these Triceratons, these Triceratops men. And we get like a bar fight. Feels very Star Wars in outer space. We get a sky car.
General Check Blank.
Oh, that's his name? Check Blank?
That's what I'm just saying. That
should be his name. That's a good one.
He's going to spell it that way, too.
He speaks with a Czech accent.
Yeah, he's from the Czech Republic. So, everyone is looking for Honeycutt. The Triceratons manage to capture him. Oh, the turtles end up in a sky car? That was pretty cool.
Basically, the turtles and him, because he is also a dude that may know how to make a portal technology to send them back home the way that they just got translated.
And that's General Blank wants him to turn it into a weapon. We find out the Triceratons also do. Really, this goes right into the next issue here. Still pizza count 0, but issue 6, the turtles get found by the Triceratons, and they're trying to convince Honeycutt to build this weapon, so they trap the turtles to use as bargaining chips. We get we go back to April O'Neil and NYC for a little while. We learn that TCRI stands for the Techno Cosmic Research Institute.
Yeah. It's TG, not TC, in the second movie because it's Techno Global Research Institute. They axe the aliens, which are called the Krang things are called UTOMs, or Utroms, which are not mentioned in this. They don't have their name in this book. But whatever, they axed that from the movies.
This book does a strange job of naming people because we don't get names for like the Krang aliens, but we get names for tons of the random Triceratons throughout this issue, where they're just like, these are the announcers, these are the fighters, but we never really learned the head Triceraton's name. There's a lot of weird choices here.
It feels like like Chris says, it's made by artists. And they don't really care. Like all the interview segments and annotations, like, so the TCRI aliens did this. I'm like, I don't even think y'all give a shit about the name. They're just the things, I don't think they care based off of what I got. And my vibe is I'm calling them the Krang things because even though Krang is never mentioned in this thing, because that's what I know. Right,
they never say Krang. That's what I call them. So we have the Tri-Stadium death match or something or other up in space. I was thinking Tri because their arena is shaped like a triangle, but also Triceratops.
Triceratops.
I didn't even realize. The turtles are fighting. It lasts way too long, and they fight. They bust out. They attack. Big fight scene. Eventually, everyone just gets transported elsewhere.
Then the big laser shows up, and they vanish again. I remember though when I was starting reading this, I was like, how long are these issues? Are they? I'm like, we're doing ninja stuff. I'm like, I'm consistent with this. I know about the Ninja Turtle stuff, and then I suddenly flipped to near the end or middle of it. I'm like, okay, we have gone far afield in like 5 issues. We're like on an alien planet. We used to just be teenagers who training to defeat Shredder, but now we're fighting Triceratons. Like this concept has gone wild.
It ramped up fast. It ramped up real fast.
If I had known this was going to be like 300 pages across seven kind of 8-ish issues, I think we would have broken it up or maybe done less of it, because this is it. Like going from where we came from to here, it's been a long journey. Yeah. It's been a long journey for these Ninja Turtles.
I do feel like we get a nice bit of closure after the 7th issue. Let's just get straight into it. I think Pizza Count Zero still, FYI. Triceratons versus Krang robots in the TCRI headquarters. I call them, again, Krang robots. I don't know what they're called, but it's like their bodies. Oh, we didn't really mention their bodies, but yeah, they like sit inside the stomach. If you remember the super humanoid, is that what they called it?
I don't know, the Krang bot, because he used to be like in a little walker toy. I had that too, where he was like in a little AT-AT or ATST kind of thing. Like walking, Krang went into that, and then he got put in the belly of the big robot. I don't remember. I never saw all of the Tyler Perry movie, the second Ninja Turtles movie, but I know Krang is in it. He's voiced by Fred Armisen, but I don't remember. I don't know if he had a. Let's just go with it, right? But I don't know if he ever ended up in a robot body or not.
Sure. Yeah.
Is Krang supposed to be like ambiguous? What nationality he's supposed to be?
We don't know which alien.
Did it in a day. I'm sure he got well paid. I heard that movie was actually pretty good, though. It has Bebop and Rocksteady. It has Krang. I mean, like that's what I wanted when I was 7. I didn't want Toka and Razar, and I did want Super Shredder and Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, they continue the trend of Kevin Nash being in TMNT 2 with Sheamus being in the second 2016. He was either Bebop or Rocksteady. I don't know.
Oh, that's pretty good. Whichever one had the mohawk, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I might need to check that one out. I saw the the first rebooty one with Whoopi Goldberg and what's her name?
Yeah, it had Megan Fox and Job.
Megan Fox, yes.
And Job was Vern. But the second
that was good casting, I think.
Yeah, and William Fichtner, was in it. I think he was Shredder. But the second one was supposed to be pretty good as far as like people who like Ninja Turtles. They liked that second movie. I didn't watch all of it. I got tired one night.
Check it out.
I mean, it's Megan Fox, but Megan Fox is actually pretty good. I liked her on New Girl. I liked her on New Girl a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But Tyler Perry as a villain. I'm on board with Tyler Perry as a villain. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really checked out hard on TMNT stuff. I didn't watch the 2002 cartoon. I didn't watch the 2012 cartoon. I didn't watch the.
I loved the 2007 movie. That movie was so good.
The most recent, we're getting way off topic here, but the most recent cartoon has them like drawn super weird and different, like different shapes and different sizes. So the turtles super stand out, like as individuals.
And and the 2012 cartoon, which was CG animated, the current one is like hand drawn Flash or whatever. But the 2012 one was CG, and I had a coworker that would like message me at work, like instant message me, and be like, "Hey, TMNT is like really good. You should check it out." And I'm like, okay, bro. But I did watch a few episodes. I think Seth Rogen was Leonardo or something on it, and then Jason Biggs replaced him. It's weird. But and then Mae Whitman, Plant, voiced April O'Neil. So it's good casting. I like her. So there's lots of Ninja Turtles to watch. We're jumping ahead to our mid-conclusion part.
We are. All right, so issue 7. Let's finish this up real quick. Triceratons versus Krang robots. The Krangs win, and they're also friendly. Like they know the turtles' names.
I did not expect this.
Not at all. And we learned that Splinter like made friends with them and like talked to them about the turtles, so they get reunited together. We get a ton of recap of like their origins, what Splinter's been up to, the aliens and how they crash landed and got jobs and made enough money to buy this building and turned it into a big facility. And I'm like, wow, that's not what I expect aliens to have to do, but okay. But then they say, oh, but now the National Guard and the NYP are onto us and we're surrounded, so we got to deal with all that. Did they deal with that, or did we just kind of end?
New York's finest using excessive force to get into a building for non-criminals.
Yeah, good time. So yeah, it's a nice little bit of finality, I think, even though there's still more to happen. But yeah, we didn't really mention there's like news stories going on because everyone's like, oh, there's all this light coming from this building. We got to figure out what's going inside. We're busting in. Yeah.
So all the Krang robots, like, they beam away to somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, and they beam the turtles back home to April's apartment.
Home. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they comically all appear in the bathtub instead of just like, yeah.
April, sees on TV that the building has collapsed, and she's like, "Oh no, what happened to the turtles?" And then hears a noise in her bathroom, and it's all of the turtles.
Yeah,
and Splinter.
So that's a good story. The whole thing, it's it was a wild ride. It went everywhere. It opened up a ton of doors. I think you guys were saying before we started the honeycut stuff felt the weakest to you, which
I kind of lost steam with the alien planet stuff. It didn't. I mean, there's points where the book doesn't really care about the turtles. They just kind of disappear from the book, which I'm like, I don't like that. I do like the human characters. I wasn't really caring about Honeycut and whatever was going on with the Triceraton culture. I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah, well, again, I think that's part of their problem with like intermingling storylines. They're very much like, this is the scene, and we're going to stay with this scene until it's over, and they like have a hard time leaving a character.
Yeah, and and again, like I'm not going to give them writer notes too much, but I do kind of wish that like Michelangelo, because he got hurt in issue 3, I wish he had stayed behind so we could have like something with him in April, so we could get more characterization and
like
also
subplot, like a B plot.
Yeah, I just don't care about this sci-fi stuff. Like it's fine, and I like it better when it's aliens on Earth.
Yeah,
because it reminds me of like Men in Black type stuff. But like when they're fighting Triceratrons and all this shit in this Star Trek arena, I'm like, I check out.
If they had transported to a place where they were still dealing with Krangs, then it's like, okay, we're still feeding the main story, but different location and different characters to play off of, it like really changes the whole thing and makes it harder to get back in.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, like, like I said, it's this weird like Star Trek arena thing that lasts like 2 issues where they have to impress the Triceratrons to blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, who cares? I don't care about Triceratons.
That being said, I loved reading these. It was just so much fun.
This was really good. Like my brother-in-law like loves Ninja Turtles, and him and my nephew like are like fucking like all in on Ninja Turtles. I'm giving them this volume after I'm done with it because I think he'll like really like a different take on Ninja Turtles. It's a little darker. It is much darker. I'm all in on the TCRI aliens, whatever they are. The Krang. I was like if they're like every time there's Ninja Turtle stuff was going on in this book, I'm like, get back to those aliens, because that cliffhanger where they were all at the coffee table was like so got me.
That was really the panel of the week. It was not the baby turtles. I was incorrect. It's that panel.
That one is so like, oh, I am all in on this. Like that page alone is like, this is too weird. Like this is not what I was expecting. I was all in on that. So I ended up buying the next volume, which has the rest of the Eastman and Laird collaboration through issue 11. I'm going to see what happens because I'm quite intrigued.
I was going to say, which weirdly enough starts with a team up with Cerberus, which is not where you would expect the next thing to be, with Dave Sims Aardvark hero.
Oh, that guy.
That's what the next issue says it's going to be, and you're just like, oh, okay. So I guess it was big enough by that point. They're like, let's do a crossover with somebody.
Didn't they also do a team up eventually with Usagi Yojimbo, the rabbit? I feel like that makes sense.
There's a Yojimbo toy. I remember that, like with the green.
That's right.
You know how they have like the toy thing. I remember seeing that, and I know that they cross over with Savage Dragon at one point. But whatever.
That makes sense.
And they're on their 3rd volume with Batman meets Ninja Turtles teaming up.
Well, I feel like modern Ninja Turtles is very different though, as far as team ups.
Because Eastman and Laird sold the rights to the Ninja Turtles to Viacom in 2009. So now Nickelodeon and Viacom own Ninja Turtles. It's not independently owned anymore. So
wow, I can't believe it took that long, but that makes sense.
I know, right? Yeah. And that's why I think there's been like 2 cartoons of it. All the new movies, newish movies now.
Yeah, they have made, as far as like getting compensated for their work, they've done far better than Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and all of the like Marvel and DC creators that came before them. Like they definitely saw what happened to them and were like, we're holding on to this until they were literally like, we're done with this. Let's just cash out right now. They got some probably 8-figure offer and we're like, let's go.
Mm-hmm. That's very smart. So I definitely would be interested to read more. I don't necessarily know that I would have the time to, but I'd be super just curious to see where it goes, what other parts of the cartoon lore come in. Does Baxter Stockman turn into a fly? Was that just completely created by the cartoons? That kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm excited.
I know that like one of them loses an arm, one of them's blinded at some point, so it goes off, but. Man, I was really like, for somebody who liked Ninja Turtles and got off the Ninja Turtles train like Chris, like I was in on this. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's super curious. It was an interesting curiosity that told a pretty good story.
Right. It was interesting from a historical perspective to read this, but also just fun to read. Yeah. Cool. You all have anything else to say about it, or shall we move on to Marvel vs. DC?
No, I think it's good. Let's move on.
Let's do it. So Marvel vs. DC. We are on issue 3 of 4. Although there is a lot of stuff that happens between 3 and 4. We'll get to that a little bit later here. But we get a recap from Jubilee talking about what's been going on, 2 universes merging, and how they got to fight each other to see which universe is going to survive. So this episode really is a lot of mini fights between characters, and then we find out that none of it mattered.
So had the votes happened by this and been tabulated,
yes.
Chris? Okay.
Yes. Okay. These Batman and Cap and Superman and Hulk were voting fights.
So I wrote down the winners of all the fights, but I don't know that I picked up on all of them. So first it was Jubilee versus Robin, which was nice and sweet. They're kind of falling in love with each other, even though they just met.
Well, and to recap, they have to fight. These champions of each universe have to fight because either the DC universe or the Marvel universe will be destroyed and no more.
Right.
And so that's
what we've been promised, and I will be disappointed if one of those options does not happen and one company stops publishing comics forever.
To be fair, Marvel next year did file for bankruptcy, so it could have happened.
It was almost the end. Also, kudos to this universe. We're like, I can only pick whatever, like 7 or 9 champions. Jubilee is on my short list. I need Jubilee out there.
Yeah.
Not even Kitty Pryde.
I know, right? Why Jubilee? Well, I guess the cartoon was happening around now, and Jubilee was the popular one. So that kind of makes sense.
She was in the cartoon, and she also has the most obvious connection to like being a Batman character because her original design was heavily influenced by Dark Knight Returns Robin.
With the goggles and everything, and
with the goggles and the yellow like color scheme. So. Yeah, that's especially if you read those old Uncanny X-Men issues, like that's what they were stealing was Frank Miller.
Makes sense. So far we are 2-1 in favor of DC winning, and Robin does beat Jubilee. Never actually punches her or hits her, just kind of like ties her up. And they're like, "Well, I guess you win." So 3-1.
I'm going to say this now, but it's through the whole thing. There is ostensibly like an actual like tabulations. There's bets being made in the whole. Even is it Bippo? Is that his name? Superman's friend shows up.
Popeye.
To take bets. But this fight doesn't happen like in an arena with like an audience or anything. It's just like, well, I guess we got to fight, and then whoever's keeping score is going to keep score.
Well, the next fight literally happens in space.
Silver Surfer versus Green Lantern happens in space. Silver Surfer wins, so now we're 3-2 for DC still winning. But like some of these, they don't even like. They're just like, I guess you won. Like I don't know how they determine who the winner is in all these fights necessarily.
Yeah, they've got to pick up. They've got to pick up like a movie phone type call-in service. Yeah, and like type in a number to tell everyone, like, I won.
We get Elektra versus Catwoman. I didn't see who won this one. I thought it was a stalemate, right?
Elektra won.
Elektra won? Okay. I just saw that Lois was writing a story about it. Peter
threw Catwoman into a sandbox.
I see. Okay. So Elektra won. Got it.
Very Batman Returns-y.
So that makes it 3-3. I got to write down my notes. I got to check with my bookie here. See what I won. 3-3 Marvel. Oh no, 3-3 tie.
And Lois wrote the news article. All tied up. Champions deadlocked. 3-3.
Yeah, it wouldn't be April. She's a scientist. But Peter Parker hits on Lois. Good move, Peter. But she's married to Clark, who's standing right above him. Dope.
I do like that they emphasize like the difference in like Peter Parker's design versus Clark.
Yeah.
Like so many like superheroes are all the same. Like they're all like 6'3", like muscle bound dudes. But like Peter Parker is like very clearly like 5'8" and like small. And then like Clark Kent lumbers behind him as like this giant farm guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you would kill me. Gotta go."
That was a good moment. We get J. Jonah Jameson busting in to say that the Hulk's fighting Metallo. Get a move on. And
I want pictures of Spider-Man or whatever DC universe equivalent.
Oh, that's right. He's like, what is this, Metallo something or other?
Again, this is the most stuff that I like about this series is the Daily Planet stuff. Like I would read more about this than anything else.
This scene was really the only good one in the book, I think.
I do really like the fight coming up here in a second.
Okay. So we get a quick moment with Axel Asher, who has to become the Access and become a keeper of the shards. The Space Brothers, whatever, it doesn't matter. We get Wolverine versus Lobo in space, and another space bar. 2 space bars in one episode here. 0 slices of pizza.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was complaining about I don't care about the dinosaur aliens and all that stuff, but here when there's just like background flavor, I'm like, this is funny.
It's
like
great.
One of them has like an alien text that spells out Wolverine, sort of.
That's some good lettering there.
Yep.
Good lettering. So we get Wolverine winning, beating Lobo. So now we are 4-3 in favor of Marvel.
And it is my favorite fight, I think, that we've seen so far. And that it is like, it's like PG-13, very violent. But like Lobo has like a like crowbar type thing that he literally impales Wolverine with. And Wolverine pulls it out of his chest and is like, I'm a mutant. That means I can take a lot of punishment. And then they're like fighting behind the bar and you can't see what happens. But Wolverine says, gotcha. And then the last thing is him reaching up and grabbing a cigar and smoking it. Like he just murdered Lobo.
It's pretty, pretty on brand for Wolverine, I think. We get Wonder Woman versus Storm, which was nice because Wonder Woman had found Thor's hammer last time. And it says, you know what? I'm not going to use it. It seems like an unfair fight. So they have a fair fight. Should have kept that hammer, Wonder Woman, because Storm wins.
And this is the one, Storm versus Wonder Woman was a fan vote one. It makes no sense that Storm wins this fight. Like,
it really doesn't,
I don't even know how to describe what happens. It's literally like shocks her with lightning once, a fight is over.
Yeah. So after these 2 fights, we're now ahead 5-3 Marvel. Then we get Spider-Man versus Superboy. Actually, this was my favorite moment when Superboy is like, oh, actually, I'm a clone. And Spider-Man goes, you're a clone? And I thought they were just going to stop and talk about that for a while. That would have been nice. But no.
Yeah, it's just a little in-joke, I guess, that we know that Spider-Man has problems with clones. And, of course, we'll find out later that this Spider-Man is a clone.
We already found that out earlier. It is this is Ben Reilly, right? Yeah.
Right, but at the time, everyone thought Ben Reilly was the real Spider-Man.
Right. Oh, okay, yes.
Green Goblin.
Yeah, we didn't know that it was a clone, right?
Yeah,
again,
we
he
found
was
out
a clone,
year later
and then he was
Green
the real
Goblin
one.
had faked the results to make this clone think he. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. It's getting complicated. How did this fight end? Superboy threw Spider-Man into some electricity or something?
No, Superboy flew at electricity, and then Spider-Man webbed him up, so he got caught. And then there was a broken water tower. This is actually a good fight too. So then the electricity and the water tower combined to electrocute Superboy, and so.
Wait, so Spider-Man won? I got this one all wrong. So that means it's now 6-3 in favor of Marvel? Wow.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, spoiler alert for who's going to win this.
Yeah. Then we get Superman versus Hulk in the Grand Canyon. I guess Superman goes to find this Hulk Metallo confrontation, and then they're like, oh, I guess now it's our time to have the contest. Okay. And Superman beats the Hulk with punches, I believe. Yes. I believe that's how that happened.
I do like that he says, like, you look tough enough that I can use my full heat vision. And it's like, obviously.
And then we get Cap versus Batman, who... this is, again, where I was like, how do we decide who wins? Where at one point they like become friends and try to get out of the sewers together.
Well, there's this point, and it started flashing in my head. I don't know why this didn't enter my head until the Superman fight, where Superman says... He's like, I don't want to hurt you, but my universe needs to survive, so I have to win this fight. And which is like, I don't think Superman would let a whole universe die just to save his universe. Like, that doesn't seem right for Superman. And then Batman brings up that exact same point. He was like, in any other story, we would team up to then fight the puppet masters. And Captain America's like, that's bullshit. I gotta save my universe. Which, again, doesn't seem like Captain America to me.
It seems like they would say, yeah, let's figure out what's going on instead of just fighting. Which then would
be like a cool and interesting dynamic thing of like Captain America and Batman like throwing away the pretext of this fight and like, let's go figure this out.
Well, also, the weirdest moment for me is when they're both escaping together, Cap and Batman, and Cap is like, well, you were pretty good with that batarang. You bonked me on the head real good. I guess that means you won? And I'm like, well, wait, you're both like still alive and still like getting out of there together.
I remember as a kid being very frustrated by this fight because I was like, who even won?
And I don't know how these winners are determined. But anyways, these two brothers are like, you know what? Marvel won pretty handily, but we changed our mind. We're just going to merge these two universes together and create the Amalgam Universe. And I thought this was actually a pretty exciting moment where we see the splash page of all these like combined characters forming this brand new universe. It was nice. It had me excited for next episode.
Ooh, I like this Dr. Doom and Doomsday costume.
Yeah, Dr. Doomsday.
Oh, Dr. Doomsday.
You got Deadshot, Bullseye, Dark Claw, Spider Boy, whatever Superman and Captain America is. I don't know.
I think Doctor it's called Super Soldier. The comic is called Super Soldier. That was published after this, so I'm gonna guess that was it.
But it's a cool design. Yeah, I agree with what we were saying earlier, though, that especially because like with Superman, it would make more sense because Superman and Hulk was like the least interesting fight to me because it's like, well, obviously Superman is going to win. It's not even angry Hulk. Like, he's fighting Smart Hulk. He'll win. And so it would have been like at least some conflict in it that he's like trying to like make Smart Hulk be like, come on, let's work together. And Smart Hulk is kind of an asshole. So he'd be like, no, I don't care about you. So like he would not be the like virtuous guy. But yeah, having Superman be like, I have to do this for my universe doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But no, I'm really excited to check out these Amalgam comics. So between so this is a 4-issue miniseries that we're reading. Between issues 3 and 4, they published 12 different one-shots of just these different Amalgam characters. So we're going to read 6 of them next time, and then head straight into Marvel vs. DC number 4 to see how it all finishes off.
So our main read will be the Amalgam comics. We're not going to be doing a separate comic.
Yeah. And I figure it's going to be big enough, give us a lot to talk about probably. So we'll see if we, I have a feeling we won't read all 12 of them, but who knows? Maybe we'll love these 6 so much that we have to go check out the others. But the ones that we are going to read are Super Soldier, which is the Captain America Superman combination.
Yeah, it looks like Captain America Superman has the Superman S as his shield. It's Clark Kent gets the Super Soldier serum. I think is that one written by Mark Waid. I think I'd written down.
Yeah, we've got Spider Boy with, sounds like Spider-Man and Superboy combined.
Michael Ringo, who I don't know if we've actually done any Michael Ringo on this show.
No, he's a cool artist, yeah. We've got Doctor Strange Fate, which is a combination of Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate, which is also seems to tie into kind of some of the more important goings-on in this universe here. It's also written by Ron Mars, who's one of the main writers of this thing. So, we'll see if that one's important. We've got Dark Claw, which is a Wolverine-Batman combination. We've got Amazon, which is the Storm and Wonder Woman combination. And we have the JLX, which is the Justice League and X-Men.
Which tells you how little the Avengers mattered in 1996. That they're like,
true,
who should the Justice League analog be? Oh, the X-Men, of course.
Yeah, Iron Man wasn't in this at all, was he?
No. Iron Man's not even in a fight. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He's not a champion. He's not
a single.
Yeah, they needed Jubilee to have a slot.
Yeah, but not Iron Man.
What we're leaving on the table is I think there's like a Magneto and the Metal Men thing and a X Patrol, which sounds like X-Men and Doom Patrol, which those are pretty close in concept. So I'm not sure how those divided out.
So we got Bullets and Bracelets, which is Punisher and Diana Troy teamed up, I guess. We've got Assassins, which is Elektra and who is this teaming up?
Catwoman, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe Catwoman,
It seems like it's the pairings of this issue.
Well, sure, not always, though. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, yeah.
Speed Demon, which is... it's not. Speed Demon is Ghost Rider and Flash. Interesting. Okay.
So
yeah, how
and
little Quicksilver matters.
I know we probably should talk about this in the show Amalgam episode, but the following year they made some more Amalgam one shots, and there's one called Lobo the Duck, which sounds amazing.
That sounds good. There's also we had a hard time picking which ones we were going to read. We almost did this one, Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which seems like an interesting combo. But we're already doing another Batman one, so hey, who knows? Maybe they're so good we'll read them all. But I kind of doubt that. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
And I think I said I was going to reveal who I voted for in these fights that I actually voted for. It was all Marvel except Batman over Captain America.
All right.
Actually, I think it was actually Superman over Hulk too. I think those two were the only two I picked.
I mean, that makes sense. You won.
Yep, I picked the winners.
So you picked Storm over Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I did, because I didn't like Wonder Woman at the time. I hadn't read anything or seen her in any media, so I was like, Storm is my girl. She's on the X-Men. I don't care about Wonder Woman. So. Yeah,
that makes sense. We didn't have a good Wonder Woman cartoon in the 90s to really latch onto, so... Yeah, I guess we did, but... when did the Justice League cartoon?
Yeah, I was going to say that was like 2000 that the Justice League cartoon came out.
Yeah. But no, overall, it's it's been fun. I'm excited to get to the Amalgam stuff and see how this miniseries finishes, more than I was excited to just see these random fights. They're not really doing much for me, but we'll kind of see what goes. I'm excited to delve a little deeper into some of these universes and get some full stories. So
yeah, they are a mixed bag. Like I said, the Spider-Man Superboy fight is very well done, and then like the Hulk Superman fight is not well done. Like it's very bad.
Mm-hmm. But overall, it's been a fun time. It's been a fun episode. Anything else we got to talk about before we start getting out of here? What's going on with y'all? Anything interesting happening? I've got mutton chops now. That's exciting.
Oh, fun!
Yeah,
that's fun. I've started to do a video series with a local movie theater chain here in San Antonio called Santico's Entertainment, and I've done 2 episodes talking about. With an anthropologist, actually. We've been talking about the anthropology of superheroes. It's called Anthropology of a Superhero. We did an episode about Wonder Woman, talking about her origins and comparing her to the movie and what she means. Talking about like the cosplayer experience, what she means to people. And we just did one on Captain America last week. We're going to be doing one this week on Friday at noon Central on Facebook. You can also check it out later. We're doing one on Iron Man. So you can check that out, and then you can watch the video on Santico's Entertainment on Facebook at any time. So it's been fun. I'm the quote-unquote comics expert. So
nice.
Wow.
Chris, anything going on with you?
Your Stupid Minds still going. We have an episode coming out soon. I don't know if I should spoil it. I guess I can go ahead and spoil it. It's Serenity from 2019. One of the most interesting bad movies of last year with Matthew McConaughey bottomless on a regular basis. Ooh. And Anne Hathaway is supposed to be his high school sweetheart, ?
That doesn't sound right.
And then like Diane Lane is like his like sugar mama, and it's like you're much closer to her age.
Wow.
Than Anne Hathaway's age.
Wow. Yes. The sexism.
Not Serenity like Firefly. Wonderful.
That's what I was thinking at first. I thought you said 2009.
And I was like, wow, Chris, if you're going to be doing Serenity as one for your bad movie podcast, I'm like, that's bold. That's like picking Batman Returns.
Yeah. No,
y'all, hot take, I don't like Batman Returns.
I don't either. I've not been invited back to Chris's show because I got too hot on Batman Returns.
Oh, that's right. I think we've talked about it.
Yeah, we were all united in not liking it, but a lot of people do like it because it is Tim Burton-y, I guess. But anyway, that's a story for another day. You can check out that episode that Vince is on Batman Returns. He's also on an episode involving James Bond. I forget which one.
Spy Who Loved Me, a beloved James Bond movie. Yeah.
Yes, another one that like people love because it's the one that Austin Powers rips off, I would say, the most.
It's a good show, though. Your Stupid Mind's a very good show. I check it out.
Yep. I'm gonna end the show different. I'm gonna say, you know what? Go out and take part in a little protest here. I went to one. If your quarantine situation allows for it, it can be very empowering and good to just like be part of a crowd for a good cause again. So yeah, if there's something going on in your area, even if there's not something going on in an area, see what you can do to help out in that regard. I think it's important.
Support Black creators, support Black-owned businesses.
Support Black April O'Neil and Black Baxter Stockman, I think.
Yeah.
Get them back in the spotlight.
Yeah, we talked about.
Is April O'Neil black in this book? We didn't really talk about it.
She's just white with the perm, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got the sense she was like Greek, like Electra.
Oh, I couldn't really tell. It's after the perm I was like, oh, now I do think she's black. I couldn't really tell.
It's hard to tell.
But it's yeah. But no, it's do what you can to just support the people who need the support out there. There's lots of different ways that you can, and yeah, it's worthwhile. But no, thank you all so much for listening, and thank you for dealing with us as we get serious. We usually get real silly at the end of the episodes, but we got extra serious this time. Yes. Let's get silly again. You can't really force silly, though. You can't say let's get silly. It doesn't work like that.
Let's get silly. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course, would obviously be in support of racial equality for all. So do what they would do. Eat pizza and then fight racial injustice.
Yeah. I'm shocked to learn that pizza is not a core part of their character traits. But, well, at least they mentioned it. We get a half a point for a mention of pizza. So I guess Chris is our winner for the over-under. Should we bring back the over-under for next time for Amalgam? That's going to be a tough one to do.
I don't even know
like
what
that
it
was
would
too
be.
big of a smorgasbord.
Right. So,
every like punny reference to a thing that we are like, oh, that if it makes you groan.
Do you think the characters in the books will know that something's wrong?
I don't think so. I feel like the universe has been recreated, and we're just
they're not going to be.
Okay. I think
how, like,
Doctor
in
Strange
Crisis?
Fate. I think one character will, because he'll be sort of seeing everything, and that'll be like the story of Doctor Strange Fate.
But you know how, like in Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think there was the one issue where they're like, something's wrong here, like with this universe reboot.
Yeah.
Like, Strange Fate will be the only one who actually mentions that.
I think so.
Okay.
My question is the supporting cast also going to be a lot of amalgamations? Like, I can't even think. Like MJ and
like Lois
I don't
Carter.
know, super right stuff like that.
Lois Bryant.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm curious.
What's his name? Snapper Carr and Rick Jones. Snapper Jones.
Snapper Jones. That's a good
do you
name.
actually know what you're talking about, Chris, or are you just guessing?
No, I'm just saying like these are just the characters that I've seen already in the book, and it would make sense if they combined.
Yeah. There haven't been a lot of supporting characters so far in this thing, so we'll see.
Perry, Jonah Jameson,
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what happens with these Space Brothers and Access. Said nobody.
Oh boy, Access, my favorite character. I'm sure the rights with him will be easy to use again.
Oh wow, yeah. All right, but I think we're done for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will see you next time. Stay safe, and we love you. Oh, Vince, I love you.
I love you too.
Chris, I love you.
Yeah, I have to go back to Dimension X. Sorry.
Ah, jeez. Bye, everybody.